Welcome to the Never Ending Backlog podcast, your place for short reviews from a gamer with the goal of reducing his backlog. From adventures to sandboxes, join our host as we walk through a collection of unplayed treasures. Now, let's take a look at the featured game of this episode of the Never Ending Backlog.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week on the Never Ending Backlog podcast. I'm your host, Zach. And today, with the release of next-gen consoles this month, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, and the release of Halo 4 in the Master Chief Collection for PC, we have decided we will declare this Halo Week, primarily because we've been neglecting the MCC entirely, as we have only played Reach on the PC so far, and that experience was a blast, especially since it was with a buddy and I with a complete playthrough in one evening. Halo has a special place in my heart, and before I get called an Xbox fanboy, I actually like all systems, including PC obviously. However, I would choose a PS5 over a Series X simply because my computer can handle nearly all Series X games, and with Microsoft announcing their games will be released on the PC, the Sony PlayStation 5 seems to make the most sense. Plus, my friends primarily play PC and PS4 games, so it's likely they will be snagging a PS5, especially for Demon's Souls, since we are big Dark Souls fans, me so more so recently. So this week we'll be reviewing Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, Halo 2 Anniversary, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, and Halo 4. I have played all of them on consoles except Halo 4, and I haven't played any of these in the Master Chief Collection yet, so it should be a fun week for reviewing games. So with that being said, it is time to grab the Doritos and Mountain Dew. Today we are reviewing Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary in the MCC. I have actually played the original Halo when it was released on the PC many years ago as well, and that was a rough launch, plus I think my computer always struggled with it. However, I do remember it had a flamethrower, which was different from the Halo on the original Xbox. I'm glad my experience with the MCC has been a smoother one so far. So what is it? According to Steam, Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary comes to PC as the second installment of Halo the Master Chief Collection. Reach was the first one that I mentioned earlier. Now optimized for PC, relived the spectacularly remastered edition of the original Halo campaign, created in celebration of the 10th anniversary of one of the most beloved franchises in gaming history. After crash landing on a mysterious ring world known as Halo, the Master Chief is tasked with helping the remaining humans survive against the overwhelming Covenant forces. While doing so, he and Cortana uncover Halo's dark secret and fight to protect all life in the galaxy. The genre is first-person shooter sci-fi adventure. The release date: the original Halo was released for the Xbox in 2001. The Master Chief Edition was dropped on Steam in 2020. Who made it? Developer Bungie, 343 Industries, and Saber Interactive. And what else have they done? Well, Bungie has primarily been Halo and the Destiny series. 343 Industries was pretty much just Halo. And Saber Interactive created Mud Runner, which was for free on the Epic's Game Store last week, actually. Time Shift, Inversion, and a few others. The publisher is Xbox Game Studios, and what have they done? Well, they've done Sea of Thieves, Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, which I will be doing a special edition review for that one in the coming months. Flight Simulator, Battletoads, and so many more great games. How much is it? Well, the current price is $9.99, or you can buy the whole package, which contains Halo Reach, Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, Halo 2 Anniversary, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, and Halo 4, all for $39.99 US dollars. First and foremost, that is a lot of games for that price. It is hundreds of hours of campaign, multiplayer, and just a great time. Plus, they are great co-op experiences. So, if you have $40 to spend, I would buy the whole package. You just get so much money. You get so much value for your money. So now let's just actually jump in and review it. All of these games are included within the Master Chief Collection application. So first you install that, and when you do, you can download all of the Halo games you have purchased, campaigns and multiplayer. If you have zero interest in multiplayer, you can choose just to install the campaigns. I think that's a really nice feature. Now that Halo 4 has released, I can download all of the games. I actually bought the Master Chief Collection when just Reach was released, and I assumed all games were playable. However, what they did was charge you $39.99, and every few months or so, they'd release a new Halo game, expanding on the campaign and multiplayer options that you already have unlocked. So the staggered launch was actually a good touch. Kind of frustrating when I initially bought the game because I basically had paid $40 for Halo Reach. I was like, what? I don't want to do this. But I ended up getting all of them, which is really nice. Another nice feature with the install and startup, all settings in the Master Chief Collection can be customized for each game individually, or you can choose to apply the settings to all games. However, that setting seems to be a little buggy for me, but we'll get into that next. Regarding graphics, 5760 by 1080 resolution is supported, and the user interface is centered on the center screen. Reach worked wonderfully with this, as did the first Halo. It was a great seeing this. The only issue with 3 monitors is, though, the font that would display for the tips would be stretched across all 3 monitors, and it looked pretty ugly, which is kind of weird considering, the interface would allow you to focus on the center screen and everything like that. It seems like that would have been optimized as well, but it wasn't. But that was the only real glitch I saw. However, for some reason, the settings keep reverting every time I turn off my computer. Halo pushes itself to my snowblind computer case monitor, and then when I Alt-Enter to move it, it reverts all the settings back to scratch. So I have to choose full screen, 5760 by 1080, and then push it for all games. I like the push settings for all games, however, it's not the most useful if it doesn't save. Eventually, I just changed everything to 1920 by 1080 and kept it windowed mode, and then it seemed to actually save and correctly do it every time I loaded up the game, so that worked appropriately for my OBS recording. My absolute favorite component of the anniversary games, Halo and Halo 2, is the fact that it pushes upgraded graphics, which look beautiful. I mean, really, they look amazing. However, do you know sometimes when you play a remastered game, it's been so long since you played the original, you look at the game like Halo Combat Evolved, and you might think, this is nice. It's no Call of Duty Modern Warfare or Star Wars Battlefront 2, and you'd be correct. However, in-game, you can actually push the tab button on your keyboard and immediately switch back to its original graphics, audio, and everything. Right in mid-game. No saving, no loading, nothing. It's seamless. I had the most fun walking around these levels, pushing tab for nostalgia's sake, and looking and seeing how much better the remastered looks in the anniversary games, because believe me, it looks so much better. So if you watch my playthrough, you'll see me switch back and forth. I hope it's not too annoying. It's not a glitch in the game. That's me pushing the tab button because it's just so cool. Regarding the audio, Halo without a doubt is known for its best soundtracks out there for video game, heck, of any digital medium. It's phenomenally well done, and the Anniversary Edition doesn't skimp on a terrific soundtrack. The Anniversary Edition does have remastered sound effects, which sound much better. But like I mentioned earlier, it's fun to jump back into tab mode and live out the original replicated sound effects once in a while. Somewhat doing with the audio. If you have ever played the original Halo, you are aware of how massive the sniper rifle is and how booming and loud it is. And in the level at night where you are sneaking on the Covenant ship to rescue Keys, it's amazing you can snipe out the sleeping Covenant with that tank of a sniper rifle without waking. It's like a 50 cal sniper rifle, and it doesn't wake them. It's amazing. Controls aren't too bad for this Halo. WSAD moves your character, mouse moves your head, F throws grenades, switching weapons is 1 and 2 on the keyboard, and flashlight is 4. Overall, it's pretty smooth. I really wish Halo had a run button, though, like sprint. Seriously, I keep wanting to push shift to run faster, and I know it doesn't have it. It doesn't have sprint. I'm aware, but still, kind of frustrating. Oh, and Q is melee on your keyboard as well. This game really makes me want to buy the remastered Xbox Duke controller that has the USB plug that was recently released, so I can play this game in its original glory. So perhaps around Christmas I'll pick one up because I think that'd be so much fun. Regarding gameplay, essentially you play as a super soldier that lands on a giant ring floating in space. Think the location for Elysium, the movie Elysium or Boog, but more natural with less structures in most places, with waterfalls, forests, caves, etc. And you are fighting for survival against an alien race called the Covenant, and you have a linear storyline that you follow to learn more about the ring, the aliens, yourself, etc. Overall, the storyline is one of the best parts of the Halo game. It's remarkable and very gripping. Regarding difficulty, I think Halo Combat Evolved is probably the second hardest out of the Halo 2 and Halo 3 games. I haven't played 4 yet, and I'm not including ODST into this one since the structure is a little different, though I do think ODST is pretty tough in general as well, just because you're not playing as a super soldier, but obviously we'll get into that in that review. Achievements, These are a little bit more challenging to quantify since they share the achievements for all 6 games under the Master Chief Collection wing. So right now I'm around 50 achievements. However, I have no doubt many of them are from my time playing Halo Reach. You tend to get 1 per each level, 1 for finding Easter eggs, and 1 for beating speed or point bonuses on each level, and maybe some for like killing some round people with a grenade or something along those lines. Now jumping into pros and cons. Pros, the weapons are amazing. The Magnum pistol is remarkable. Even during a tip when the game's loading, they say, the Magnum is one of the most strongest weapons in the game. I'd agree, it's amazing. And with the scope on it, it's even more amazing. Another pro, the fact the Warthog is invincible is an absolute blast. I would always be the driver, and just jumping back into that was pure nostalgia. And my last pro, what can I say? It's the original Halo on the PC and a terrific visual and audio overhaul. It functions extremely well, it's certainly optimized, and overall, if you had ever played the Halo series, or perhaps you got into the later Halo games and you never experienced the first Halo game, then absolutely pick it up. The fact you can snag just Halo Combat Evolved for $9.99 by itself, it's absolutely worth it. Alright, but it's not all perfect. Let's jump into some cons. First of all, the AI is awful. I forgot how much I hated the Marines in Halo Combat Evolved. From standing in front of turrets that I'm shooting out of, to jumping out of the Warthog at 4 times, to not getting into the Warthog when you needed them to. Overall, they are absolutely the dumbest AI out there. I understand for the original Xbox, they definitely were amazing. However, they don't hold up well in 2020, and those did not get optimized. The fact the settings keep reverting is an absolute pain. I haven't found a solution for my 5760 by 1080, but as I mentioned, my 1920 by 1080 saves properly. So for now, it's working, but I really want to just keep it at 5760 by 1080 when I'm not recording gameplay footage, especially since the game handles it so well and it has all the settings for it. Another con, this is also a tip, do not play the campaign if you are installing or downloading any of the other Halo games. It causes massive audio loops and the game will stutter. It's still downloading in the background, and unlike Steam, which usually pauses or at least slows down downloads and installs to preserve gameplay experience, but with the Master Chief Collection, if you are installing or downloading, just wait for it to finish. You will see the lag moments in my gameplay footage, so I'm sorry about that right now. I removed the audio for this podcast, however, that also got quite old fast. It's like, hello, 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 and it's really frustrating. And now let's jump into some interesting stories. One thing you'll notice from this week is the nostalgia stories from the Halo series. It made a large part of my childhood and adulthood. I was first introduced to the Halo franchise when my brother came home on leave from the Navy with his friend who had just purchased an Xbox with all his leave money. It happens in the military. Both of them were 10 years older than I was and let me play Halo, which was revolutionary to say the least. I didn't play it long since they had wanted to play it, and I was spending time with my brother. But those first few minutes holding the Duke controller in my hand were magical, leagues apart from my PlayStation that I was still rocking at the time. After that, when I was in band camp in high school, freshman year of high school, during summer break, we would take our lunch breaks at a friend's house who had lived close to our school. We would grab some Dews, Doritos, and just play Blood Gulch and Halo multiplayer for our entire break before having to rush back to band camp. I have such fond memories of those times, and you'll see a lot of fond memories in these next couple episodes. The next experience I have for the Halo, and like I said, these are all Halo Combat Evolved. These aren't Halo 2, 3, or any of the other ones. This is still the original Halo. My next experience with Halo was my own. After working a few summer jobs for my grandmother and pestering my parents, they finally got me an Xbox with an Xbox Magazine demo disc, which included a level of Halo, the Silent Cartographer level to be exact. It was co-op multiplayer, and at the time I didn't have the full copy of Halo, so my friend, the person that I had played Reach with me in the Steam Master Chief Collection I mentioned earlier, and I would play that level for hours, trying to use grenades to get our Warthog lodged past trees and rocks to move it further through game progression where it wasn't supposed to be going. The Halo demo was spectacular. I mean, it was a great level to begin with. It had co-op, which most demos didn't, and Halo had such a remarkable score. It was the perfect demo. And, this kind of goes into a little bit of a tangent of an interesting story, and maybe you guys can help me with this. I remember seeing a book with a Halo ring, or the design of the Halo ring, on the cover at like a novel at my old comic book store. And this was late 1990s, early 2000s, before the Halo game actually had come out. The book said Halo on it. However, to my record, the Halo franchise was not based on a novel. Every day I wish I would have purchased that book because it had looked like it was written in the 80s or early 90s, long before the Halo games came out. So maybe you guys know, was it based on a novel? If not, like, what was that I saw? I mean, it had like the yellowing pages, like it's like one of those little novels shoved in the back. But this is before Halo came out for the original Xbox, so it's just really weird. But anyway, would I recommend this game? I absolutely recommend this game. For $10, it's a great game by itself. It has a strong campaign that you can also play alone, that's really fun by yourself or with a friend. And it has an active multiplayer community that has a huge and long-lasting presence. This isn't going to be like the Call of Duty franchise, where there's a new game coming out every year. These games will stay populated for years to come. You will get your money's worth out of this game. So thank you for joining us as we reviewed Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary on this episode of the Never Ending Backlog podcast. Stay tuned for more Halo Week after this. We'll talk soon.